Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dishu and you're watching Data Science with Dishu. So in the last video, we have discussed about the introduction to data science. So if you haven't watched that video, please check in the description or you can also check out the playlist. So that was our first module where we have discussed about the introduction to data science. What is data science and what are the applications of it and what is the career scope in data science. Now this is the second module that we are starting and this is Python for data science. So in this module, we'll be starting with fundamentals of Python. First of all, we'll be looking at what is Python, then what are the fundamental things that we need to know about Python. Then I will also introduce some IDEs, that is called integrated development environment, where we can actually code like whatever the Python or for any language, whatever you have learned, you need to have some environment where you can code and get the output of that code. So we will be actually looking it in details like what is IDE and what are different IDEs, and we'll be also exploring each of these IDEs one by one. After that, we'll be looking at some Python data structure and operations that we can do. And then we'll be moving towards Python for data science, where we'll be looking at the specific modules and libraries that is actually used in data science field. Then we will also explore the data visualization that is using Python. And at last, we'll be looking at exploratory data analysis that is in short called EDA. So in today's video, we'll be covering of fundamentals of Python and some introduction to IDEs. And sorry for delay in this video because I was quite busy at the company where I'm working right now. And it's already 12:30 am and I'm recording this session. So do like this video and comment also if you have any suggestions because there is so much of effort which I'm putting here. So let's get started. Cool. So we are ready to start Python for data science. So first of all, you will be looking at fundamentals of Python, where we are going to start with what is Python. So this is the logo of Python. Python is a popular and versatile open source programming language. So the two terms come here, popular and open source language. So popular because it is used worldwide in various fields, and open source. So what is open source? Open source is any software or anything that is open to all. Anyone can download that and use that on their systems, either it is Windows, Mac OS or Linux. Second, it's known for its readability and simplicity, making it great for beginners. So learning Python is as easy as learning English because it's very simple to understand because of its readability as an English language. It was created by Guido van Rossum and first released in 1991. So he's the man behind Python. Next is why Python? Why not any other language? So Python is widely used in various fields like web development, data science, automation, etc. But in our case, we'll be looking at the application of Python in data science. Other thing like huge community and extensive libraries for different purposes. Now huge community means it has a support of community where if you are getting any type of doubts or problems, you can check the community and you will be getting the doubts resolved by that community. And there are extensive libraries. So there is a term that is coming here, libraries. So I'll be going through this concept in future session, but in a brief, just understand that it is a type of written code that we can reuse. So it has extensive libraries that we can use for different purposes. So like for data science, there are many libraries that we need to use and it is available in Python. And since it is open source and there is a huge community that is available, they can contribute to these libraries and these libraries are growing day by day. The third thing is cross-platform compatibility. So either it is Windows or Mac OS or Linux, it can be used on all these operating systems. Next, we will be looking at introduction to IDE. So the full form of IDE is integrated development environment. So let's understand that with the help of a simple example. Let's say you want to play a outdoor game. Let's say you want to play cricket. So there should be a open ground or any open area where you can play cricket. Then there should be a pitch, then there should be a wicket, then there should be bat, ball, and there should be players. Now this is what? This is an environment that has been set up to play cricket. Now in the same way, if you want to code in Python language or in any language, you need to have an environment where you can write your codes and then you can run that and you can get the output. So that environment is called integrated development environment, where there will be environment, then there will be tools. Like here, what are the tools? Bat, ball, wickets, and other thing that is required. So in integrated development environment also, there will be some tools that is present. With the help of that, you can code and get the output. So we can say an IDE or integrated development environment is a software application that provides a comprehensive set of tools for software development. Now, what are the key features of IDEs? First is code editor. So, code editor is what? A central space to write and edit the code, where you can write any code and edit that code. The second thing is code completion. So, it helps by suggesting code as you type. The third feature, syntax highlighting. So it colors the code for better readability. So you'll be looking at all these things and it will be clear out more. Then there is a debugger which identifies and helps fix errors in the code. Like if you have done some errors in the code, it will highlight that thing and it will show you how we can debug that. And the last one, compiler interpreter. So what it does, it converts the code into the form computer can understand. Like whatever code you write, that can be understood by humans, but not by computers. So you need to convert whatever the code you have written to a language that your computer can understand. So compiler or the interpreter does that same thing. Now what are the some examples of IDEs? So like Jupyter Notebook or Google Colab Notebook or Visual Studio Code. So let's start exploring each of these IDEs so that the things becomes more clear. So first we'll be starting with Visual Studio Code. Now before you start learning how to use these IDEs, you need to have Python installed on your system so that you can use that Python to code in those IDEs. So first of all, we will be looking at how we can install Python on your system. So just open Google Chrome and search for download Python in new tab. You can see the first website that is coming of official Python. Just click on that and it will be suggesting download the latest version, and that is for Mac OS. But if you want to install for any other operating system, like most of you guys will be using Windows, so you can see, if you come down here, you can see there are many versions that are available and you can choose which versions you actually want to install. So I would suggest to install not the latest version but some version that are older, because the latest version are actually not stable. Let's say you want to install Python 3.9.10. So just click on that and an interface will be coming where you will be having Python version and the date of release. And if you come below, you can see these are the options here, where if you want to install that in Windows, you can see Windows installer of 64-bit or 32-bit. So it depends which system you are using. And you can see there is installer for Mac OS also. So let's say if you are using Windows of 64-bit, you can just click on that and download will be started. So after download, you just need to install that, and all things are pretty simple. Just go with the flow, whatever it is guiding. So I'm not going to show your exact steps how you can install that, because there are many YouTube videos that are already available. You can go through it, and many of you guys already know how to install it. But for the beginners who don't know exactly how we install that, what I'll be doing that I'll be finding the best videos of installing Python on Windows or Mac OS, and I'll be putting the link on the descriptions. So just check out that. Next, let's say you have installed Python on your system, and you need to remember one thing, that after installing the Python, you need to add the path of the Python file that you have installed on your system variable path. So like those videos which I will be putting in the description, it will guide you how we can do that. Next, we will be looking how we can install Visual Studio Code. So just search for Visual Studio Code, download, and just open the first search that is coming, and you can see there is a bunch of options for Windows, then for Linux also, and then for Mac. So just install that based on your system. Like for Windows 10 or 11, you can see of 64-bit, you can use installer or zip. So I'll be also putting a link in the description how we can exactly install, what are the exact steps that we need to follow to install Visual Studio Code. So let's say after installing, you will be getting a shortcut of Visual Studio Code. So just click on that, and you can see this is the home page that is coming for Visual Studio Code. So let's say you want to write a new Python code. So just go in the start option, you can see a new file option. Just click on that and just select the Python file. You can see an interface is coming, and that is nothing but a IDE, that is the environment which is set up to run your Python code. So I'll be just giving a simple example, that is actually simplest example, a print function. So let's say I want to print welcome to data science program. After writing the code, how you can run that? Go in the run terminal and click on run without debugging. So before running, you need to save that. Let's say I've saved that. You can see it's running and the output will be coming here. Yes, welcome to data science program. So you can see that output is coming here, welcome to data science. So it has just printed that statement. So it is a type of print function that we use in Python to print any statements. Now let's say you already have some Python codes that has been saved and you want to open it here. Just go in the file system here, and you can select the option for open folder, or you can also go in the file and you can see the open folder option. You can also open files. And one more thing, before running these codes, make sure you have used Python as a language. You can see there is a bunch of options for different languages like C, C++, Java, all those languages are present here. So Visual Studio Code is a versatile IDE that supports many languages, but we need to use for Python mainly. So you can see there is a option for Python also. So just select that as a Python, and then go into that interpreter, and you need to select the Python that you have installed on your system. So if you remember, I have said that you need to install that Python on your system and add the path of that Python file into your system path variable, and that same path will be shown here. So you just need to select the option which you have installed on your system. So let's say this one have installed, so I'm selecting this one. Now you can run your Python code here. Now Visual Studio Code is a complex IDE that supports many languages, and it also supports many features, and it mainly comes in your use when you are deploying any project, whatever you have done. So like here you can write the Python script, then you can just dockerize that Python script and you can deploy that anywhere you want on clouds like Amazon, AWS, or any other clouds. So when we will be starting doing the projects, then we'll be looking at how we can actually deploy our projects using these IDEs. But for now, we are not going to use Visual Studio Code. We are just going to use Google Colab Notebook, and Google Colab is mainly developed for data science applications. So if you remember, I have mentioned the libraries and modules that are needed in Python for data science. Now those libraries are not pre-installed here, so you need to install all those libraries if you want to use that in your Python script. But in Google Colab notebooks, what happens, those libraries and modules are already installed. You just need to import that and use that simply. So let's start with Google Colab now. So to open a Google Colab notebook, you don't need to install anything. You just need to go into the Google Chrome, open a new tab and search for Google Colab notebook. You can see the first option that is coming, welcome to collaboratory, and it is developed by Google. So you can see this is the home page that is coming after opening Colab notebook. So you can see there are a bunch of options for like recent files or examples, or you can also import with Google Drive, GitHub, and you can just simply upload any notebook here. So if you want to write a new notebook, you can just go to the new notebook option, click on that. So you can see this is the option that is coming here. This is the file name that is default. You can just change that file name by just double clicking it, and let's say our first Python code. This is the name just I have given. Now you can see here there is a cell that is coming here and it is blinking. That means you can write any code here because this is a code cell. So you can see there are two types of cell here. One is code cell and one is the text cell. So this is mainly designed for data science application, because what happens in data science, you have some data and using those data and Python queries, what you will be doing, you will be doing some analysis. So you need to add some text also, what are the conclusion of that graphs or charts, whatever you have done, and you need to also write the Python codes to make charts and do analysis. So that is why those two cells are provided here. So let's say in this cell I'm printing again, welcome to data science program. So to run that, you can just go to the runtime, and whatever the cell you want to run, you can just run the focus cell. And if there are many cells, you can click on run all to run all the cells present. And there is one shortcut also to run that. You can just click shift plus enter at the same time and it will be started running. So before running, what it will be doing, it will be connecting with the, so let's wait to connect it. So you can see after getting connected, it is printing the statement whatever I have written. Now one thing I wanted to show you, if you just go on that RAM and disk option, you can see there is a RAM and disk that is present, and you can see RAM is 12.68 GB. Out of that we are using 0.83 GB, and out of 107.72 GB that is disk space, we are using 26.24 GB. Now what are those RAM and GB that is showing here? So this RAM and disk space is not of our local system. It is of a server that has been used by us, and this server is of Google. So one of the major difference between this IDE and the IDEs which I have mentioned, the Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code was using our local system, and this Colab notebook is not using our local system. Instead, it is using a server that is a Google server actually. Now let's say instead of code cell, I want a text cell. So just click on the text cell. You can see there is a text cell coming here. You can just write anything here. So let's say I write hello there. And if I just do shift plus enter, you can see a text has been written here. Now, if you want to change the size of that text or you want to make it bold, just double click on that. Just select that text, and then you can click on that first option so that it will be converted into heading or subheading, whatever you want, and you can also make it bold. So again, shift plus enter, you can see the size of the text has been changed and it is also bold. Now if you want to open any notebook, you can go to the file and, open notebook, whatever the notebook you already have, or you can click on the new notebook to click a new notebook. So that's the simple interface which I wanted to show you guys. And in the further sessions, when we will be starting learning Python, all those interface options will become more clear. So in our future session, whenever we are learning Python, all the codes we will be actually writing here only. And the third IDE which I was mentioning was Jupyter Notebook. And you can say that it is exactly same to Google Colab. Only the difference is that in Google Colab, we are using Google server where we are not using our local system, but in Jupyter Notebook, we are using actually our local system. So if I want to show you how Jupyter Notebook look like, I won't be installing that Jupyter Notebook here, but in Visual Studio Code, you can see when you will start a new file, you can see there is an option that is coming Jupyter Notebook. If you just click on that, you can see it is the same thing that is coming up as Google Colab. You can see there is an option of code and markdown. It is same as text cell, and this is the code cell we have. So you can just write the codes whatever you want. So you can write the codes and text whatever you want here, and it will run same as Google Colab Notebook. So instead of that, so so instead of using Jupyter Notebook, we will be actually looking at Google Colab Notebook. So you will be using Google Colab Notebook, whatever we will be teaching, whatever the Python you will be learning, all those codes will be running it here. So that's it from today's video. From next video, we'll start learning Python. Till then, take care guys. Goodbye.